Hi, my name is Alan from Alan Wee Property. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I have finally come to Penang. Penang is an island on the western side of Peninsuala Malaysia. I'll be exploring the property market in details supported by market data. This is especially so if you are a Singapore buyer who has plans to buy a property there. I always hear people say, if you want to retire, you should come to Penang and stay. It has a resort vibe and a laid-back lifestyle. Frankly speaking, I haven't been to Penang yet, but this is on my bucket list for 2024. I have plans to drive out there for the vacation. Without further ado, let's jump straight into the discussion. Let's start with a short introduction to Penang. Penang is a vibrant state with its capital, Georgetown, having the rare distinction of being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has a rich culture with its blend of Eastern and Western influence. It also retained many of the values adopted during its era of British rule. Penang is also famous for its food, from Nonya cuisine to other foods from the different ethnic groups. In terms of sizes, Penang Island itself is about 293 square kilometers. In comparison, Singapore is 720 square kilometers, or about 2.5 times bigger. On its people, Malaysians in general are friendly and warm people. Maybe that is due to their slower pace of life and also less competition between themselves. This is unlike in Singapore, where we constantly live in a rat race. Anyway, what kind of properties can foreigners buy on Penang Island? Based on this Property Guru article, it stated that foreigners can purchase properties with a minimum purchase price of 1.8 million ringgit for the landed properties or 800,000 ringgit for the high-rise property, which means a condominium. If you are under the MM2H program, the minimum price is 1 million ringgit as per the time of filming this video. For the latest regulation, kindly check with property agents in Penang. As usual, all the above information is sourced from the National Property Information Centre. This is a government website that compiles all property transactions in Malaysia. I will only focus on data in Pulau Penang, commonly also known as Penang. This is the Malaysia Annual House Price Index for all houses and the annual price changes in Penang in particular. In this chart, we can see that the index, which is in blue, is gradually moving up over the years. As for the line in orange, it represents the year-to-year changes. Initially, the year-to-year growth rate was very strong in the early 2010s, before hitting up to 16% growth rate in 2013. Subsequently, prices start to taper off from 2014 to 2019, before it reached negative territory from 2020 to 2021, before bouncing back from 2022. This is the same period of COVID-19, which affect property prices not only in Penang, but also in Singapore. Next, this is the Malaysia Annual House Price Index for all property types in Penang. The blue line will show the overall price movement over the years. Overall, we can see that prices somehow have softened from a decade ago. Let us just focus our study on high-rise condo, as this is a segment most Singaporeans will be keen to purchase. The red line is somehow fair below the price movement compared to the rest of the asset class, especially compared to the landed segment. In terms of existing supply, we have Penang having the third largest stock at 544,000, and this is followed by Johor and Selangor in second and first place respectively. The next diagram will show you where most of the stocks is located. They are mainly located on the northeast side of the island, which they call it Timur Loa. Most of the stocks are well spread out into condominiums, low-cost flats, landed houses, and others. Interestingly, detached houses form a significant pool of housing for local Malaysians. I assume these are the preferred housing option for well-to-do Malaysians, just like in Singapore, where the upper echelon of society always prefer to stay in a landed property. So much about the existing stock in the market. Let us take a look at the sold stock in the last 6 months. For Penang itself, close to 3,700 units were sold. Most of them are in Timur Loa. Most of them are condominiums and flats. In Malaysia, flats generally mean low-cost housing and do not have much facilities. Whereas apartments and condos are of the same meaning. They usually have condo facilities and security. Their price range is between 200,000 ringgit to 500,000 ringgit. Only a small number of units are transacted above 500,000 ringgit to 700,000 ringgit. Interestingly, if you can recall, the minimum purchase price for a foreigner to buy a property on the island is 800,000 ringgit. This means there are hardly any transactions in this price range. As usual, in the next section, I will look into the performance of two sub-sale condos in Penang. Here, I'll be very frank with you, I have a hard time looking for credible data for this video. I'm always doubtful about the data that I am presenting to you in the first place. Hence, please pardon me if I analyze them incorrectly. Nevertheless, let's zoom into them. For our study, I will only choose resale condos that are more than 10 years old so that there are sufficient sub-sale transactions to analyze their performance. The first condo is the Central Park. It is located along Leburaya Batu Lancan, which is near Penang Bridge and not too far away from Georgetown. This condo is on freehold status and was completed in 2011. This means it's about 13 years old. There are altogether 326 units, which can give us a good indication of its sub-sale performance. I will use 4-bedroom data as this is the most common room type in this condo. This is the price chart over 10 years. We can see that the typical 4 bedrooms are trending around 480 per square feet back in 2014. Prices continue to increase to 560 per square feet most recently. What does this mean? Well, prices have increased by 16% in the past decade. Not too bad. However, when I see online, there seems to be a lot of listings both for sale and rental. Seriously, I don't know why. Maybe those staying in Penang can enlighten us. Next, let's go into another resort condo facing the sea. This is called Putra Marine Resort. Location-wise, it's located along Persiran Banyan Indan, which is between Penang Bridge and Penang Second Bridge. This condo is on leasehold tenure and was completed in 2007. This means it's about 17 years old. There are altogether 126 units. The built-in sizes range from 2,000 to 2,700 square feet for the typical unit. This is the price movement for the typical 4-bedroom for the past 10 years. The price range is hovering from 550 per square feet to 660 per square feet over the years. This means prices are relatively stable. The price range of units for sale in this development is between 1.2 million ringgit to 2.5 million ringgit. This means they are luxury condominiums and mainly skewed towards foreigners. At this kind of prices, it is far beyond most Malaysians. If they can afford it, I believe most would rather go for a landed home on the island instead. Some of you also asked me to cover landed properties in Malaysia. Unfortunately, I have a hard time finding such transactions. Moreover, landed homes are not homogeneous, and I think it wouldn't be fair for me to analyze them from such an angle. As mentioned earlier, most of the transactions have prices ranging between 200,000 ringgit to 500,000 ringgit. Only a small number of units are transacted above 500,000 ringgit to 700,000 ringgit. Anything above 1 million ringgit is far and few. For fellow Singaporeans planning to buy a property in Penang for retirement, always do your homework well. If you have excess cash and plan to settle down on this beautiful island, please continue to buy, especially on landed properties. However, for those with a tighter budget and still want to enjoy its rich culture, heritage and great food, you can always choose to rent instead. You can have the flexibility to live in different parts of Penang, from coastal area to town areas such as Gunner Drive or Georgetown. Here, for Singaporeans watching this video, let me share with you a lobang. You don't need to buy a property there to seek capital appreciation. You can always choose to keep your Singapore property and use the rental income to finance your living expenses there. Remember, the exchange rate now is 3.5. Assuming you rent out your humble 3-room HDB flat for 3,000 Sing dollar, this means you will have 10,000 ringgit to spend in Malaysia. In addition, your HDB flat will be generating close to 36,000 Sing dollar in rental income annually. In 10 years time, it will be 360,000. This means even the flat is on a depreciating lease, you are still sitting on a cash cow. Brother and sister, don't ever say your HDB flat has no value. They are in fact your secret weapon. This one Lim Pei also need to teach you meh? Anyway, if you are staying in a private property, your rental rate will even be higher. I think you can have a very comfortable retirement life there. This is what I call reinvesting. Rent a place in Penang and rent out your current property for rental income. Isn't this having the best of both worlds? Anyway, don't forget about me, about this lobang. If you have plans to rent out your Singapore property, I believe you will know who to look out for. Before I end this video, I would like to share something. I know everyone loves to make money, whether from property to Toto, 4D or other form of investment. But do you know, the best form of attack is defense. So please protect yourself from scam. Last year, Singapore lost 632 million from scam. That is a lot of money. And yes, I would never ask you to transfer any money to me for nothing. I only have one mobile number ending with 3150. Stay safe and stay vigilant. Signing off.